The scratching came again, softer this time, almost hesitant. Elena Cross paused mid-motion, the sterilization wand hovering over the medbay counter. 3 months on Station Kepler 9 had taught her to distinguish between the various sounds that echoed through the biodome's corridors. The hiss of atmospheric processors, the distant rumble of cargo haulers, the chittering of Velkari workers discussing trade routes in their clicking language. But this was different. This was deliberate. She set down the wand and approached the reinforced door of her habitat module. The scratching stopped. Through the transparent aluminum viewport, she saw nothing but the curved hallway beyond, its bioluminescent strips casting everything in soft blue light. Then she looked down. Kobrinka sat on her haunches, one massive paw raised awkwardly in the air. The young Velkari predator was barely 6 months old by Terran standard, but already stood as tall as Elena's waist. Her obsidian scales caught the light like oil on water, and her 4 amber eyes blinked in sequence, upper left, upper right, lower left. Lower right, the way they did when she was concentrating. The cub's claws were extended, gleaming like polished knives. She reached forward again, but instead of raking them across the door as she had moments before, she curled her paw into something resembling a fist and tapped twice. Gently, experimentally. Elena felt her breath catch. "Rinka," she said softly, pressing her hand against the door. "Are you trying to knock?" The cub's head tilted, her translator collar flickering with yellow light, processing but not quite understanding. Her species didn't knock. The Velkari were apex predators from a world where doors didn't exist, where territory was marked by scent and defended by fang. The concept of asking permission to enter was as alien to them as their triple-jointed limbs were to humans. But Rinka had been watching. Elena had found her 3 weeks ago, barely alive, tangled in debris from a mining accident that had killed her pack. The station's protocol was clear. Velkari cubs without a pride were to be transported to the nearest rehabilitation sanctuary. But the nearest sanctuary was 4 jumps away, and Rinka's injuries wouldn't survive the journey. So Elena had broken protocol. She'd brought the cub into her habitat, used her medical training to set broken bones and treat radiation burns, and sat up through 18-hour cycles listening to Rinka's distressed keening, whispering reassurances that probably meant nothing to the traumatized predator. But somewhere in those long hours, something had shifted. Elena opened the door. Rinka didn't burst through the way she usually did, all chaotic energy and accidentally destructive enthusiasm. Instead, she waited. Her tail, thick as a ship's cable, swayed once, twice. Her lower eyes focused on Elena while her upper eyes scanned the room beyond, the instinctive predator's awareness never quite dormant. "Come in," Elena said, stepping aside. Rinka entered with careful steps, her retractable claws fully sheathed. She'd learned that on day 5 after accidentally shredding Elena's spare uniform. The human had simply picked up the ruined fabric, shown it to the cub, and said, "Inside claws in." "Understand?" She'd demonstrated by making a fist, then opening her hand gently. Rinka had watched with all 4 eyes, and she'd understood. Now the cub settled onto the thermal pad Elena had requisitioned from the station's quartermaster, the one designed to mimic the heat of Velkar's volcanic plains. But instead of immediately curling up to sleep as she usually did, Rinka kept watching Elena move around the habitat. The human prepared her evening meal, synthesized protein, bitter calf, a precious packet of real chocolate from her dwindling earth supply. She ate at the small table, working through reports on her datapad, medical assessments, supply requisitions, a tersely worded message from Station Commander Tulvax reminding her that her temporary guest was becoming a permanent problem. Rinka's translator collar flickered. "Why gentle?" The words came out synthesized, flat, but the question was genuine. Elena looked up, surprised. The translator was learning faster than she'd expected, building vocabulary from context and exposure. "Why am I gentle with you?" The cub's head tilted the other way. "Pride leaders. Not gentle. Strong. Take. Survive." She struggled with the concepts, her collar glitching between Velkari concepts that had no human equivalent. "You, small, soft, prey-shaped, but you fixed me." Elena set down her fork. She'd been prepared for many things when she signed up for Frontier Station duty. Contact with hostile aliens, Radiation exposure, the soul-crushing loneliness of deep space. But she hadn't been prepared for a predator cub learning philosophy. Strength isn't just about taking, Elena said slowly. Humans learned that the hard way. We spent thousands of years thinking survival meant being the strongest, the most aggressive. We nearly destroyed ourselves. Rinka's eyes blinked in sequence, processing. Real strength, Elena continued, is choosing gentleness when you could choose violence. It's protecting something weaker than yourself. It's knocking on a door instead of breaking it down. She smiled. It's a scared cub learning to trust again. The translator collar flickered, working overtime. Rinka rose from her thermal pad and approached the table. She sat, mimicking Elena's posture as much as her alien physiology allowed. Then very carefully she placed one massive paw on the table. Not a slap. Not a demand. A gesture. Teach, Rinka said. More. Gentle. Elena reached out and placed her hand on the cub's paw. So small against those obsidian scales. Those retracted but lethal claws. Around them, Station Kepler 9 hummed with the business of a dozen species, all trying to survive in the hostile vacuum of space. But in this moment, in this small habitat, something else was happening. A predator was learning that survival could mean more than just strength, and a human was remembering why her species had ventured into the stars in the first place. Not to conquer, but to teach the universe that even the smallest, softest creatures could be dangerous in their compassion, relentless in their kindness. Outside, the stars wheeled in their ancient patterns. Inside, Elena Cross smiled and began to teach, and cub Rinka, with all four eyes focused and her translator collar glowing steady blue, learned to knock properly. 2 taps, gentle and asking, the way civilized beings did, the way humans had shown the galaxy it could be done.